What's up, y'all, and welcome into today's episode. I'm so glad that you have found Forte Catholic, where we are all about bringing you the joy of the gospel, Catholicism, and comedy smashed into one. We hope that you not only enjoy this episode, but that you get something out of it. That's always a high probability when Allison Sullivan is here. She was here in studio. I always love it when she comes over, and we have a grand old conversation that we record, and you get to hang out with us, and we get to hang out with you. This is the blessing of the podcast. If you like today's conversation, make sure that you subscribe wherever you're listening to podcast, and or on YouTube. The full episodes are always available on YouTube as well. We hope that you guys enjoy it. We'll see you in a bit. What's up? And welcome to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Allison, and that is Allison Sullivan. Hello.
Hi, Taylor. How are you?
I'm doing much better than you are.
Can you smell me?
Yes. I just took my my nasal spray so I could smell everything. And that was terrible timing.
Welcome.
So you do smell, which is not something I usually lead the show with.
A little bit? It's this side, actually, is where I was targeted.
The more I think about it, the more I can smell it.
Yeah.
And, they say not to sit in gasoline fumes or you'll go crazy. But you're in for a show today because we can both smell it quite a bit.
It's oilier than one might imagine.
Okay, what is it? What happened, Allison?
So, PSA. When you fill your car up with gasoline and you click the little clicker and latch it so that you don't have to hold the clicker, there are signs. There's plenty of signage that says, do not leave this clicker unattended. I only obey rules.
No one in my life obeys that.
Really?
No one in my life obeys
I am a rule follower if I agree with the rule. Like if it's important,
so you're not a rule follower.
I'm a rule follower.
I get it.
But that rule seems excessive and inefficient.
It's the year of our Lord, 2021. You think we would have figured out gas pumps by now?
So I went inside.
I mean, we're almost out of gasoline, and we still haven't figured out how to give it to human beings yet.
Right. Well, I needed gum, okay, because I chew gum all the times that I'm not supposed to chew gum, i.e. when I do podcasts with Taylor. Because we are in close proximity. And so I know, and you try to take it from me, but here's the thing.
Dripping in irony. You didn't want bad smells, and you brought worse smells.
How about that? No, there's more irony, I'll have you know. So hold on. So I go out to my car, and I go to pull it's done, or so I thought. I mean, it had clicked off, I thought. But when I pulled it out, it was as though I was standing right in the way of a fire hydrant spewing gasoline onto my shoes, my pants, somehow my open mouth.
What a bad fire hydrant. Hey, there's a fire! Pour gasoline on it. That'll fix it.
But apparently I gasped and it got in my mouth. I mean, it was everywhere. So there is a reason for all of the warnings. And now we know. But here's the other piece of irony. Okay, so I have 1 million kids. It's really just 5, but sometimes it feels like 1 million. It especially feels like 1 million.
It always feels like you have 9. Like, you talk like you have 9.
Says the guy who has 3. But it especially feels like 1 million the week before school starts and the week that school ends. So I had a jillion things to do today. And so in my head, I was like, I'm going to go sweaty. Taylor's going to have to sit with me sweaty. If you booked the mom of 5 the week before school starts, then you are going to have to sit with me stinky. And then the Lord said, oh, but no, I'm going to hose you down with gasoline and make you shower. And this will be the cleanest you have ever been on Forte Catholic. Well, and so now here we are.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
But also, even more irony.
Oh, by the way, no, but hold on. School supply lists are cruel and unusual. Mm-hmm. And so times 5 is crueler and unusualer. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. That was unnecessary.
No, because that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm contending with the week before school. So I'm like, this is why I'm going to make you smell me.
Okay.
At this show, on this show. Today.
This is why guys talk about conversations with their wives and not knowing what's going on. This is a typical husband and wife argument. We are not married, but you just threw all sorts of things at me and I tried to like respond to them one at a time.
It
and
seems so logical to me.
Then you kept going, he had another thing. He had another thing.
And I'm going to storm out, and then I'm going to walk back in and say one more thing.
And like I'm usually pretty good about like I'm listen and I'm attentive when I listen, but I am thinking like I'm not thinking about my whole argument, but I put like bullet points in my head.
Right.
I need to respond to her talking about I have something to say about the gasoline thing. And I have something to say about the parenting thing. And now apparently I have to respond to school supplies.
You weren't ready for that one, were you?
I wasn't. So the gasoline thing. Irony of this, we're just dripping in irony. You're dripping in gasoline. I was like legitimately last episode with Father Anthony, I was going to make fun of him for something that I had a note on from when I went to go visit him. He's the only person I've ever been like in a car with.
Yeah.
That like we went to the gas station and he stood there. For like I don't know how long it takes, an hour and a half to pump gas. I have no idea because I walk away. He stood there the whole time and was pumping the gas. And I'm like, what are you doing?
You could be doing so many other things.
No one does this. And he's like, well, the sign says. I'm like, golly, that vow of obedience. I didn't realize it reached to the gasoline pump. Just
okay, ridiculous. But there is one brand of lever
to the 98 things you've said
that I can't figure out. To his credit, maybe he couldn't figure that one out.
Maybe he couldn't. So I was like making fun of him, and then all of a sudden you come with this thing where you're like, you get gasoline on. It's happened to me one time. And you know how many times
you've been hosed down?
I've been like almost the exact same thing where I thought it was done. I went inside to get, a snack or whatever. And I come back out and it's like clicked like it's done. And I pull it out and boom, it goes everywhere. It's all over my like Sperry's, like the nicest shoes I've ever owned, not fancy.
Bummer.
Got all over me. I smelled terrible. I think I was like youth minister time. Like I went to church and did like a church thing, smelling like gasoline.
Yeah.
And man, it just, but you know what it didn't do? Change how I live at the gas pump. I've never once stayed with it.
Because the odds are in our favor. I mean, I think it happens like 1 in every 200 times. Right. And so you're like, I'm just going to gamble. But now I'm going to appreciate it a little more when I win, when I walk out of there dry.
Man, my brain is mush. I had so many things that I was going to respond. I just forgot like all of them. It's just like you've broken me as a broadcaster.
No, well, here's what happened in our non-fight, in our non-marriage, is that you made fun of me for for complaining about not really having enough kids. And I'm like, oh, woe is you.
Oh, yeah, that's when you started attacking me. Well, here's the thing, is you just assume. You
like I'm dabbling in parenthood over here.
You gave me so much sass about it. You were like, I give you, like, for the most part, on like I am just coming in from being out of town, but for the most part, like I give all of the co-hosts, it's like I'd prefer to do it like Wednesday through Saturday.
Yes,
but ultimately I have like, if y'all say no to Wednesday through Saturday, I'll be like, okay, maybe we can do like Monday, essentially 8 days, right? It's like I'm pretty wide open. I want to be a week ahead like we are now, but I essentially give y'all the whole week. And the last 2 times you tried to book me, you're like, I can't. I'm like, the whole week? You don't have an hour and a half for the whole week?
No. I'm like, this is a rookie mistake. Like that's what I was telling you. I was like, we're veterans. Come on. There's got to be somebody else that can do the week before school.
Well, here's the thing is you think that I'm more like that. This is more like fancy than it actually is.
Maybe.
Like, you know when you're invited? Every 4th week.
I knew that you were going to put that on me.
It's not like I'm just like, oh, hey, let's screw with Allison, I'm just like, oh, here's the list. It goes Liv, then Allison, then Anthony, then John.
Oh my gosh.
Who's next? Like that. It's just a circle.
I don't get paid enough for this. Listen, I think that it would not be difficult to go, oh, look, that's probably a lot for right then, because I'm telling you, I feel compelled to show you the school supply list.
I feel like no matter what week this month I would have said, this is the week before school. It's the first week of school. It's my first week of rest after the first week of school. Let's try October.
You go find glue sticks. You do it.
I mean, go to Walmart.
Ugh. Moms. Attack.
I'm so
lost. In the comments. Go to the comments.
I'm so lost.
Tell him.
In this episode.
Okay.
Yep.
What else?
I don't know. I had a bunch of other things that I was going to say about things that you said, and you just broken me.
I heard that you had a bad trip back, and I would do it.
I did.
About that.
And my trip
That
was
seems
much
enjoyable.
worse. Much worse than getting poured with gasoline. Much worse than finding glue sticks. My story was worse.
I think that would bring me joy right now.
Okay. So I had a wonderful week. We'll talk about the wonderfulness of the week, but I have to one up your story.
Okay.
I wasn't going to like frame this as one upping your story
Yeah.
until you just
Until
came in so
you got mad at
competitive.
me. I'm fine with it.
Here's what's gonna happen too is like of all the listeners of the show, like the guys are total. I already know it. Like the guys are totally gonna be on my side.
You can feel the
and
sides.
all the women are going to hate me.
The sides are forming. Ladies, mount up.
You can't say things like that. Anyway, I got on a plane after a wonderful week at church camp. Church camp, are you ready? Would you like to continue? Okay. Well, now it's a consent thing and I can't move forward.
This is the worst segment on Forte history. I have a cramp. Okay, go ahead. Yes.
Okay, I have permission to move on with the show now. So I went to Life Teen Summer Camp. It was a couple weeks ago now. You know, when the only weeks I don't record is when I'm in Georgia with no internet. Those are the difficult weeks for me. So I planned all around that. Wonderful week at camp, and then flying back. So, like, I didn't pick my flights. Like Life Teen picked my flights for me. They took care of all that. It was great.
Great.
And we had hard times finding flights that would get me there on time. So it actually took a long time, but I got there on time. Everything was dandy. Getting there, good. But none of us noticed. I guess like the person that was booking didn't even realize either that like I was booked for my flight at 2 p.m. in Atlanta. We're like an hour and a half from Atlanta. Okay. And my flight was at 2. Camp was supposed to end at like 12 or 1. Ooh. It's like, so there's no way I'm staying till the end of camp.
Yeah, that's not happening.
So they're like, they were, at first they were like, well, let's change the schedule. Because I was a musician for the week. They're like, let's change, because Mass is supposed to be the last thing. I definitely had to leave before Mass. Which is fine, because I went to Mass every other day that week. Right. But it was like, they were like, oh, well, we'll just change the schedule. I'm like, do not change the schedule for 150 people. Because I can't be there. Like, you can have a quiet daily Mass. It's perfectly fine. You know? They ended up changing the schedule. Not just because of me, because a bunch of the churches were leaving early too. They had long drives, long commutes, and all those things. So, but like Mass ended up being at 8 a.m. I went to Mass, and we left right after Mass, 9 o'clock. Me and one of the priests got in the car with one of the Life Teen staff and drove in. So like I left camp at 9 o'clock when I was supposed to leave.
For a 2 o'clock flight.
Yeah, for a 2 o'clock flight. Was supposed to be be at camp till noon. We left early to be able to catch this flight.
Yes, plenty early.
So we get there crazy early. I'm like, we get Chick-fil-A. I'm sitting in the airport, and like I'm just like, okay, I guess I'll work now, because I hadn't done like my computer work in a long time. I finally had internet that was stable, so I started doing some work and worked for a couple of hours. And then I'm sitting literally right next to where my flight was supposed to be, and the flight gets delayed by about 30-40 minutes. I'm like, okay, that's fine. My connection. Mm-hmm. I had my connection from Dallas to College Station here. Right. It was still going to be fine. Yeah. Like I had like an hour and 20 minutes. It moved down to about 40 or 30. Yeah. So it's getting close, but should be okay. And there's another flight out of College Station about 2 hours later. So even if we are delayed, whatever, it's just another hour or two. So we, delayed about 30-40 minutes. We finally get on the plane. Plane arrives. Everybody gets off. We get on the plane. And we go, and like you hear, like everything's fine. The plane starts revving up, and you've been on planes; they get really loud, right? Yeah. And all of a sudden, we just hear, no, like it turns off, and they're like, "All right, ladies and gentlemen, like something's wrong with the plane. We're gonna be delayed for a few more minutes so that they can come out. We're getting just some weird thing on our computer. Yeah, they're gonna come out and look at it." So I'm like, well, like like when you're taking off, you're not supposed to be like watching TV or whatever. Yeah. So whatever. I get out my iPad. And I start watching TV.
Hold on, is air running and stuff?
No, 100% no. Well, hot air is running. Yeah,
gosh, it makes me so claustrophobic.
So I'm getting, I'm a sweaty boy. So not the greatest. And they keep saying every about 10-15 minutes, just a few minutes. No. 2 hours later, no, they get on the intercom and they say, well, plane's broken. Oh, not going
Oh,
anywhere.
my gosh.
This plane is being taken out of commission. We sat on a hot plane
It's
on the
miserable.
tarmac in the summer in Georgia for 2 hours.
Is this the flight where they duct taped that guy?
Yeah. If we would have taken off, it might have been me.
Was it you?
Yeah. So
it's miserable.
2 hours, whatever. At this point, I've missed both connecting flights.
Yeah,
from
for
Dallas
sure.
To College
For
Station.
sure. Yeah.
There's zero chance that I'm getting home. Because even if I get to Dallas, everybody's like, "Oh, you only live 2.5 hours from Dallas. You can drive." I've done that before.
Mm-hmm.
Before COVID, when cars existed,
Right.
no new cars, no rental cars. You can't rent a car anymore. It's impossible. So I'm either going to be stuck in Atlanta or Dallas. There's a 95% chance I'm going to be stuck in Atlanta. So we have to get the worst part of it. Sitting on the plane, I'm used to sitting on planes. I'm just watching TV. I'm not thinking about it, right? It's not that huge of a deal. But then they get us off. And I'm not priority boarding, but I'm right after because I'm starting to get status with the airline.
Okay.
It's because I've flown a lot and Forte Catholic uses the airline credit card. I'm starting to move up in the old, American Airlines world, right?
Uh-huh.
So I boarded first, but I'm in one of the last seats because I got extra legroom.
Uh-huh.
So I'm at the last exit door.
You're sitting by the bathroom.
Yeah. So they have us all get out, and the app isn't working because all the flights from Dallas from Atlanta to Dallas are full. So I can't reschedule on the app. We have to, every single person on the plane, biggest plane I've ever been in, huge jumbo jet, 6 people in every row. All of those people have to go stand in a line to figure out what we're going to do next.
It's so miserable. Was this Spirit Airlines?
It was not. It was not Spirit Airlines. It was a good
no.
airline. Should work, but COVID has ruined literally everything. So I stand in line for 2 hours. And what are you going to do? I can't control it, right? I'm just standing there smiling, hanging out, talking to people, listening to podcasts, whatever. Small light in the story, our mutual friend who I haven't seen in years, Matt Regetz, who's Catholic speaker. He's been on the show before. He was at the other Life Teen camp. He got there, and I got to meet. I had met his kids before, but they were babies, and now they're teenagers.
Okay, I knew y'all were both at Life Teen. That's why I didn't understand your text to me, is because I thought y'all were at the same place. So you're why are you excited about running into him at the airport?
2 different Life Teen camps. I haven't seen Matt since pre-COVID, since your event.
Yeah,
3 years ago.
Yeah.
So I got to talk with Matt, about their Life Teen camps. There's 2 camps. He was running
Gotcha.
one. I was doing music at the other. So ran into him. Then who shows up is the other leadership team that stayed at camp until 1 p.m. Now they're all there. We reunite. They're what are you still doing here? And I was great question. They all leave on time. And about 2 or 3 hours later, I finally get a flight from Atlanta to Dallas. I get to Dallas, but like I said, there's no way I'm
What time? What time is it now?
I think it was 9.
Oh, gosh.
Right around 9 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
I think I landed sometime between 8 and 9 because I got picked up at 9. So I call my friends in Dallas. I'm can I stay with you? And they're the friends that I usually spend the night with. When I'm driving through Dallas.
Yeah.
I show up at their house. They're very generous.
That's
now
so
I'm
nice.
hey, can you drive 30 minutes to pick me up? Bring me to your house.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., can you drive me back?
Yeah.
And they graciously said yes.
That's so nice.
Everybody's favorite recent guest, JP Quinn. Shout out to the Quinns. Let me stay at their house every time I go to Dallas. So I stay in Dallas. I'm this is the first time I was gone for a week. I used to travel all the time. I never travel anymore. I legitimately missed my family. You can't miss people that you're literally always with. You can't. You just can't.
Yeah.
So I legitimately missed my wife and my kids. And we're so excited. They drove from my parents' house to meet me here when I was supposed to arrive.
Aww.
They left my parents' house.
Yeah.
And they could have stayed for a whole nother day.
Yes.
I didn't get home until the next morning.
Well, that's sweet.
Got 4 hours of sleep. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sad or angry. I was sad, but I wasn't angry, upset. It is what it is. I talked about it a few weeks ago. It's airlines are still amazing. It's just amazing to me that I was in the middle of nowhere, Atlanta, and then the next 24 hours later, I was home.
Yeah.
So whatever.
I don't usually have temper tantrums about things I can't change.
Right.
So it's there's nothing to do about it.
Me. You have temper tantrums about me. You can't change.
I'll learn my lesson one day, Taylor.
But Okay, good things. The good thing is the camp was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Life Team just does it up. We were the last week, so I think we were like
Yeah.
the scraps of the group.
That's not what I thought you were going to say. It's like grand finale.
I looked at the list of the other people, and I was not the grand finale. I think they were like, well, we've got it controlled enough that we could have a few wild cards for the last week. But it was great. Like Life Team did it up. I shared a couple of pictures at Taylor Stroll on Instagram, Twitter, that sort of thing. It was just a wonderful week where we just got to plug and play.
Yeah.
Like, camp was set, and I just
right. Oh, I
music.
love that.
And it was so great. The team was great. Being around 150 kids again, like I haven't been around.
Yeah.
I used to do this all the time to travel, get to know, and like spending a week with people is different than like going to speak at their youth night or going even for a retreat. It's like you really get to know people.
Yeah.
It's like I was quote unquote working for like an hour or two every day, doing music, which is a lot of music for a day.
Yeah.
Definitely lost my voice, and my fingers are still
look at you.
Painful.
Wow.
I lost all of my calluses during COVID because I haven't played my guitar.
Oh my gosh.
I only play my guitar when I'm getting paid, and no one has paid me to hear
Do you feel a slipping like when it's been so long since you've done your craft?
I think it was all physical. So like spiritually, it was actually really good.
Sure.
To get back in
Yeah.
Physically, I was constantly in pain with my fingers.
Yeah.
Because like they were like I had to find new tape. The nurse, shout out to Nurse Amy, she found me like this skin tape that like helped.
Yeah.
It was padded tape that I got to put on my fingers. And then like vocally, like I haven't sang that much in forever. So like I started, I was like, it's one of the things that like I've been singing long enough to know like can I keep my voice when I know it's slipping. So I was able to last to the end of the week, which was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like I was out of like camp shape too. Like, just, like the amount of energy camp takes.
The energy. Oh man, the extra. And you're extroverted, but the extroversion for me is totally zapping. But I hear kind of one lesson in two different scenarios, which is that being away from your family and like genuinely missing them, not just because, you're supposed to or whatever. Yeah. But like really like I need to leave early. Like I need to run to you guys. Right. And then also the sweetness of that. But then in the same idea, different scenario is the sweetness of being away from, leading worship and kids for so long that it allows you to really, really appreciate, getting back at it.
It was good. Lots of.
It sounds good.
Newness in old things. Like it's just crazy that like these things that I've done for a decade feel so new.
You know how we always talk about that if you don't settle in, if you don't experience the grief of something, then you kind of lop off the joy too. It's like if you try to avoid the grief, then you end up kind of avoiding the highs. And so it's like, missing something and then getting it back, the missing and then the joyousness of that.
Yeah, I didn't even connect that. It was like that on getting to the trip and getting home from the trip.
Right.
That's a good insight.
Well.
Way better than how we started this segment.
We saved it, Taylor.
Did we? I don't know. That laugh break about halfway through, I think, broke me. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Hello, you, dear listener. Forte Catholic is a nonprofit organization. Everything that we do here is all for the glory of God. Well, that can't be the only reason that I'm doing this, because this is my job and my livelihood. And I need your help. At Forte Catholic, we are not only trying to grow, but I am trying to feed my family. So if you care about either of those things, building up the kingdom or letting me feed my children, we need your support at fortecatholic.com/donate. Monthly donors are literally our backbone, like how we are able to keep going, how I'm able to do all this work full time. So if you can give $10, $50, $25, $100, the average people that give is around that $50 to $100 a month. And we need your help. We really do. Times are tough. Money is thin, and we love this work that we are able to do. And we need your help to continue it at fortecatholic.com/donate. If you want to give a one-time gift, that's also welcome as well. Helps us to keep things afloat, helps us to upgrade things, that sort of thing. So we are a nonprofit, so it's tax deductible, so it's good in the government's eyes, but it's also like tithing, donating to the church. So thank you guys in advance for that, and for all of you who have already supported. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. ForteCatholic.com/donate. Thanks. Welcome back to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Allison. That's Allison Sullivan. We talked about me missing my kids, and I had a couple of sweet moments with while I was gone that my wife sent me about my kids.
Yes.
So one of the things that me and the kids have been doing, my wife, I think it's been good for her. She hasn't been part of this, and I think she likes that. I would love for her to be a part of it, but she's like, I'm gonna go have my me time while Taylor and the kids watch The Masked Singer. Have you ever heard of this show?
No.
Watch the show. It's celebrities that get up and
masked. Yeah. Yes. I've heard of it.
It's a hard word for me. Masked.
Yeah. That is hard for you.
The Masked Singer.
Yeah. I was like, I heard masked,
Yeah.
M-A-S-T. And I'm like, oh.
Well,
sounds tricky.
My kids I love it because it's a singing competition. I love a lot of those singing competition shows and trying to guess who the celebrity is.
Yeah.
My kids love it because of the production value.
Okay.
They're wearing very silly outfits and dancing and all these sort of things.
Yeah.
So we've been watching it and really enjoying it. Especially me and the two oldest kids, and my daughter runs in and out when she hears certain things. It's just so cute how they all interact with it. But my wife sent me a picture of, I reckon this is connecting a bunch of things in the last few weeks. I talked about Mass Singer with John. I talked about what kids do in Mass with Anthony.
Yes.
And so my wife sends me a picture from Sunday. My daughter during Mass during Catholic Mass, drew out a masked singer, people singing and names. And it says the Masked Singer at the top.
Cute.
And
yeah.
it was just super sweet. That,
super sweet.
She really enjoyed this thing that we've done together, and being able to see that. The other cute thing when I got home, and I it's always been this way, but I didn't realize how crazy it must be for my kids. This right here, when you're here, I think it kind of makes sense. It's Dad and Allison are talking.
Do this thing.
That's fine. When I'm by myself, you know how crazy this looks to my kids?
Right.
I just go in my room and you kids, shut up and go away. And then I just yell.
Yeah.
For an hour.
Right.
By myself.
Yes.
They have no idea that I'm talking to another person that's in the computer and that thousands of people are listening.
They're going to have very vivid memories of having to be quiet while Dad's recording.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
I'm recording!
And shut up!
Yeah.
So my wife overheard and she brought me into the room. Last night they were all sitting at the kitchen table going mimicking me, not mocking, but mimicking me, trying to be like Dad. And they were like, "Hi, I'm Forte Catholic, and welcome to Taylor Schroll." They had it mixed, and it's so cute.
Louder, more obnoxious.
Right. So anyway, that was just on my mind because of the last segment, and that was one of the things I was going to say before you threw me off. So let's try a segment where I'm not thrown off.
Okay.
We finally did something. You and I, it's been a saga for a year and a half, maybe even 2 years, where a year and a half to 2 years ago, you said that you could beat me in a fight. This was after our Ministry Madness competition where you got fourth place. You won the women's bracket. You are a strong and good fighting woman. You've been going to this boxing gym for forever, but I'm very large. And I was like, well, I think I could still win.
Right.
We got to test that out.
We did.
Last month.
Yeah.
It finally happened. I fought a woman. I punched a woman, and a woman punched me, and that woman is Allison Sullivan. We did it. I went to your boxing gym.
Yes, you did. Okay, so I will say, when I said that, I was new to the sport and very enthusiastic and was gaining a lot of skills, was just
You're like
learning.
A new convert. You're like, I know everything.
Yes. I just felt really skilled. And I was like, I could 100% box you. And then you were so confidently opposed. You were appalled. Yes. You were like agape. I mean, your mouth was just hanging open. Are you being serious right now? And so then I started to kind of take it back because I was also maybe getting to know a little bit more about how decorated you were as a high school athlete. And so I'm like, okay, maybe. And so then I modified my assurance to, well, if I could have like some handicaps for being,
if Taylor didn't try, I could beat Taylor in a fight.
Yeah, for being like half your weight, right? Okay, so no, not if you don't try.
That's what you
but
said.
For being half your weight. So I kind of gave you that. And then when we worked out together, I gained some more confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Miss Sullivan. So
I could just outwork you.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. And this is what I have believed.
This is so great.
This is what I have believed from the get-go. From the first time you brought this up, I thought it was just ridiculous, right? You are better than I thought you were. Okay. I'm gonna pull a Money Mayweather with Jake Paul. He was better than I thought he was. You were like the teacher's pet, and I didn't know that. Like, anytime that the coach was like the guy that runs the place, like, you were the example. It's like, look to Allison for how to fight. And then so here's the thing. I know you didn't watch the like Money Mayweather or Jake Paul fight, right? But like, Mayweather is the most technically sound. He knows how to get points. He knows how to stay away. Like, he's the best boxer ever, and a lot of people don't like that because he's not a knockout guy. He's savvy and he's good at it. Like, Jake Paul was like, if I'm gonna win, I'm gonna have to knock him out.
Right.
He's like, there's no.
Just gonna have to land.
YouTuber. So like, that's what I've always thought is that like
you would just knock me out.
Like that's the thing. It's because you were like, well, I'll win as long as you don't hit hard. I'm like, that's all I have. Like,
right, right.
It's one of So like, technically, like, with like, if we were in a ring with points and those sorts of things, like, if we went the full 3 rounds and I didn't knock you out, you would win. Like, technically, you're a lot better. But it's one of those things where it's like, I just need one punch.
Right.
Is my thought.
Yeah. No, you're right. I hear you. Okay. So, but what'd you think? Because we have not gotten to really debrief this.
On purpose. I specifically talked about it because I wanted to do it here.
Okay.
So, the first thing about boxing, I want to start with like you and I, because like literally you and I, it was the last thing that we did. Like, I was exhausted. It was the most cardio I've done. So like, I've done a lot of weightlifting since COVID and even before COVID.
Right.
But like, cardio is boring. It's just boring to me unless I'm playing basketball or playing football. I had never boxed before. It's the first time I've ever like gone to anything like this. So like, I was exhausted. So like, legitimately, by the time you were speaking of savvy, you got me when I could barely stand up. You were very smart in that way. You're like, hey, I want to fight you. I have never. You're usually happy in my presence. You were just complete and utter joy in your face as you punched me. You've never been that happy. Like, I'm sure Seth has made you happy before. I've never seen it.
Oh my
You've
gosh.
never been happier than you were when you were just punching me.
I highly recommend it.
You I like the first 30 seconds I was laughing because I was just looking at your eyes and you were like determined and serious. But every time you hit me, you just lit up, and I was so happy for you.
Felt good, ladies.
Here's the thing too: is you were smart. It's like the first like 30 minutes, like I was doing pretty good. I had to take a couple of breaks, but like once I hit that 30, it was like an hour, 15-minute class. Once I hit the 30-minute mark, I was done. I had to take so much break. I was with a guy for most of the we partnered up, and he was very gracious and welcoming, and just kind of like let me, like, I would just like walk away at some point. So like, I can't hold my arms up or punch or anything. I was so tired. Which I think is another thing that you're not considering, is you fought me at a time that I couldn't move. So if we went like 3 rounds for 2 minutes, it's like,
I will see you tomorrow and I will catch you first thing.
All right. But okay, so pros and cons of actually going, not just fighting you, but actually going to the class. The pro of the class, just being part of a group doing audio is what I need. because like the only cardio I've done is when I go to my gym and like for 30 minutes on like walking on the treadmill, because running's so difficult because of my feet, which we'll get into.
Yeah, no, it's hard. Yeah.
So I've been doing a lot of biking, but it's not the greatest cardio. It's like I haven't lost weight biking. It's just, you have to bike for like an hour and a half to equal like a 25-minute jog. Like it's just not great, but it's what I've needed to do. So I went to do the cardio and I loved it. Something new. And I knew that like my breathing would be difficult just because I'm out of shape. But like muscularly, I was fine because I've been lifting a lot. The thing that I didn't see coming was like everything in boxing. They're like, oh, you need to keep your hands up. And every time I would watch a boxer, an MMA guy, I'm like, why do you have your hands down?
Right.
My shoulders.
Because it's hard.
I could not keep my arms up.
Yeah.
For more I was fine for that first 30 minutes. And after that 30 minutes, I would drop them, like literally have to like kind of shake them out. And then bring it back up, and I could hold my arms up for like 10 seconds at a time. And that's all I could do. And I was like, I've never felt this weak in my entire life.
Yeah. Just holding your hands up is a task.
It seems so simple. One of those things that's like, this is fine for a few minutes, and then doing it for an hour and 15 minutes was difficult.
Protect your face, not your waist.
Yeah. I couldn't do either. I was joking with a guy. I was like, you have knocked me out 120 times. Like if he was actually, fighting, I was like, I would have died. So I really enjoyed the experience of like being with a group of people and doing the cardio together. There's just something about that camaraderie. Like this sucks for all of us, but we're all in it together, that sort of thing. I couldn't move for like 4 days. I was sore for 2 weeks. I couldn't walk.
Just moving in a completely new way.
Well, and
the jump rope is kind of no joke.
The jump and like so this has been a constant struggle for me. Is because I'm overweight. So plantar fasciitis, I've talked about it on the show before, but it's come and gone for years. Like I legitimately couldn't walk for about a month, like 6-7 years ago, because I was in a boot. My plantar fasciitis was so bad. So because I weigh so much, it's pushing down the arch of my foot when I do active things, which is why I don't run, because it's all that more pounding on my feet. It's why I haven't like done a bunch of this other stuff, because I need it's this balance between I need to lose weight, but most of the things that I can do to lose weight, I can't do, because over the course of usually it's a few weeks, they get really sore, and I can kind of see it coming. But the boxing, I think it was the jump rope. It was like 10 minutes of jump rope at the beginning, and just jumping like all this weight on my feet. Like my plantar fasciitis came back with a vengeance, and I like legitimately couldn't walk for like 2-3 days. Yeah. So it just kind of sucks, because it's like I found this thing that like during it I loved it, and it was so much fun. It was fun being with the community. It was fun being with you, and your sons were there. It was fun doing something new, but it's like I can't. I like at this point I can't keep going. Yeah. Because I it's the cart and the horse thing, but I don't know which one's the cart and which one's the horse.
Well, so the whole reason that I did it, and I don't know if it was on Facebook or if I was just driving around and saw it, but whatever the case, I saw a sign for boxing and was like, there was just this voice that seemed loud and outrageous, but that was like, I want to do that.
I can beat Taylor in a fight.
But there was like, I want to box. I want to do that. And so I was really scared to do it, because it's literally a warehouse in the middle of downtown Bryan on MLK that's like, you walk in, and I was just picturing a bunch of sweaty, ripply-bodied dudes in shiny shorts and shirtless, and like the music coming to a halt when I walked in, But there's this line in a movie, we've maybe talked about it before because I talk about it a lot, but there's this line in a movie of We Bought a Zoo, which is, changes on the other side of challenge. That's not the...
I don't think that show's ever been brought up on the show ever.
Well, it's a great movie, but this is the line. It is. John Cameron, so great. Okay, but this is the line that has changed my life. So I say all the time, this isn't the line, sorry. Changes on the other side of challenge. But anything that you're afraid of, whatever you're afraid of that you want to do, that you wish you had, et cetera, is... It's 20 seconds of bravery. Whatever it is that you want, it just requires 20 seconds of bravery.
Oh, then why was the class an hour and 15 minutes? I would have been great for 20
all
seconds.
It took was for you to grab your keys and start the car. That was your 20 seconds of bravery. And now you're in. Now you're doing it, and maybe it's another 20 seconds to like walk into the building. But like now you're in, now you're doing it. And so I love the idea that if you can just find 20 seconds of bravery at a time, you are going to get to that other side of challenge, which is change. And so I love that you came. I love that you sweat. I love that. Did you barf? Maybe you almost barfed. I almost barfed yesterday, by the way.
I took a break at some point. I don't barf. I dry heave. When I'm working out.
I almost barfed yesterday because he had us pushing those tires. Oh, anyways. So, I love that you were there. For me, the reason I love it is because I have become really bored with working out where I'm not learning something. I have to be learning something now. I've been so spoiled by boxing. So, just learning new techniques, learning new combos, all of that my brain's active while I'm doing cardio. Yes, please. Bryan College Station Boxing. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Oh, my brain broke at the 30-minute mark too. It was all just like, I'm a dying seal at this point. It's not going well. So yeah, it is one of those things that like, it's frustrating because I loved it. And I would love for it to be like my plan before we went. I knew it was going to be hard. I knew it, like I didn't see the shoulders thing coming, but I knew I was out of shape and I knew that this was going to be a thing to help me get into shape.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The sweating didn't bother me. The being tired didn't bother me. The hitting didn't bother me. Like none of that bothered me. I was so excited that night. Like I almost signed up that night for like 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just didn't because I was going out of town. Like,
Yeah.
And it's like I can't. I just can't do this thing that I enjoyed.
Okay.
Because I can't I can't put myself in a position where I can't walk for 4 days.
Mm-hmm. You can modify. We are grown adults who are grown-ups, and you can modify anything that doesn't work for you.
That's what what's the crazy people gym? CrossFit.
Oh,
that's what the CrossFit people told me, and then they were like, "Keep going." I'm like, "You told me."
You just told me.
I'm like,
no, you can, you can. But yeah, I was chuckling as you were talking. I didn't want to interrupt because I feel like we might be on thin ice. But like, with our fight, but our non-fight and our non-marriage. I remember now that you say that I would have this like shoulder shimmy thing where it was like I would literally jiggle out like my shoulder muscles and I would pound them like this and then do this little shimmy. And I don't do that anymore.
You don't watch the show on YouTube. You're missing out, man. You're missing out.
But yeah, I have this
shoulder shimmy and watching Allison punch herself multiple times. Like you needed to show it once and you shoulder shimmied for 30 seconds.
I'm reminiscing. It's like those were the good old days when and now I didn't even remember that because I don't do that anymore. They're just stronger.
And that's the thing. It's like I liked being sore in my shoulders.
Yeah.
It wasn't debilitating.
Yeah.
I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
Couldn't get out of my bed.
Okay. Yeah. I have lots of things to say about that. I'm getting you back. And I'm going to fight you first thing. No more excuses.
Well, take off my restrictions. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to knock you out, Allison. It's just not going to happen. I would, but I'm not going to do it.
I can get out of the way of things a lot better now. If I could just stay out of your way for 30 seconds. I mean, I feel like there's some content here.
I mean, we've been talking about it for years. People wanted to see the fight like crazy. And like now we have the means to do it. But it's like, you know what I can't share? I can't share a video of me losing, which I don't think would happen. I can't share a video of me knocking out a woman. I just can't.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Bob, weave.
I need new feet. That's the lesson. Yeah. But like, I mean, it's kind of the same thing with like, with faith life. Father Anthony talks about this a lot, where it's like, where we think the whole cart and the horse thing and not sure which one it is. It's like, we think we need to like fix our lives before we can have a relationship with Jesus, right? Where it's like, oh, I need to, like, for me, it's like, I need to get my feet fixed or lose some weight.
Absolutely.
Before I do things
that's good.
lose weight,
I love
right?
that.
But he's like, oh, it's like, oh, I need to fix this or this habitual sin, or I need to fix this before I come to God. But God's like, you need to pray and come with me so that I can help you with those things, right? And it's this like we keep switching the cart and the horse, and the good news is that in the faith life, like the cart and the horse thing is obvious. Like God is the one pulling us, right?
Yeah.
We're along for the ride if we let him. And also, I wish he would heal my feet. Those are my spiritual points for this.
Yeah, it's just that also for me too, one good habit leads to another. So it's like making this one solid choice that I know is good for me ends up becoming like one of the first dominoes in a string of other good choices. You know, like I'm just not going to eat like it's my job if I spent an hour and a half like pouring sweat, so you just,
God, it's an hour and a half now.
it just went up. But I love the way it makes me feel. I love, feeling confident. It's an appropriate place to put rage. I mean, I love absolutely everything about it.
Yeah, it is weird. And like, I don't know, I guess it's a pride, humility thing. Cause like you told me, it's like, oh, you can modify. Like, what am I going to do? I'm going to be the only person that walks in and everybody else is jumping over and be like, I'm going to go walk outside for 10 minutes.
No one cares. We're grown-ups.
I think
nobody cares. You could sit there and do walking lunges and everyone would be jump roping going, I'm glad I'm not doing that. Like, you'd be the tough guy.
No.
We could make it.
I promise you, I can walk in and look at the tough guy and that goes away after a minute of doing anything that we were doing.
Not after 2 weeks. Give it 2 weeks.
And that's what the coach was saying. He was like I walked in. I thought it was funny. He was like, see that guy over there? He's lost 30 pounds in the last 3 months. And I'm like, oh, he just called me fat. But it's like, I want to lose weight. And this is a fun way to do it. I guess, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I think I'm going to go back and be like, oh, I'm going to be the loser that walks for the first 10 minutes so that I can beat Allison up at the end of class.
Walk around the building for the first 10 minutes and then walk in late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
See?
All right. See you there.
Can't see you there.
All right. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We are closing in on a couple of milestones over on the YouTubes. We are about to hit 500 subscribers, which is halfway to our goal of hitting 1,000. It has grown so much this month. This is the biggest month of growth we have ever seen on our YouTube channel. We just hit 30,000 views across all of our videos. So thank you for all of you guys that are subscribed already. If you are not subscribed yet, do it. YouTube.com/Forte Catholic. It's a free way to show your love and support for the show. And there's also great stuff there for you. We got full-length episodes of this show where you can see us, not just hear us. We've got flashback videos from old stuff, great stuff from the show, and even stuff from beyond just the podcast. We've got series where we're jumping into Marvel, to pop culture, all sorts of great stuff over there at youtube.com/Forte Catholic. Subscribe today if you love me. Welcome back to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Stroll, and that is Allison Sullivan. We've had a good time. We had a wild first segment that I still not quite sure what happened. We talked about you just loving punching me, and the most joy I've ever seen in you. I mean, I've seen your wedding photos, and I think this topped it. I mean, honestly.
You had it coming, Taylor.
Yeah. So we're going to close today's show with something with a little Jesus point.
Okay.
You ready?
Let's do it.
I was thinking about it a lot because I think a lot of I think I've tried to suppress it for the last almost 2 years now, but like just all of the frustrations, and I've talked about it, a lot of the frustrations, especially like last year. Like last summer around this time was, I think, just the Taylor complaint hour for a long time. It was like the beginning of COVID. I was switching jobs. We had just gone through all of the local scandals a year and a half after all the national scandals. And it was just like, I just felt like I couldn't get my head above water and all these things. Right. And I think for the most part, life's been good this last year. I mean, it's still COVID and still not traveling, all those things, but it's like better than it was a year ago for sure. Way better. But I think there's still this thing that I kind of suppressed, I think, because I was like, I am happier and I'm trying to be more joyful and things are better. But there's still this like underlying current of like, I'm frustrated with God, right? Where it's like, I'm frustrated with, golly, like how long, like we thought, like legit. I even said it on the show like 3 weeks ago. Some people got frustrated, but whatever. It's like, we're coming out of COVID because we were. Like, if you just look at a graph, we were coming out.
Yeah.
And then this Delta thing came back with a vengeance. I mean, it's like we were almost done. And I hate stuff like that, even in work.
Yes.
Like when I'm done with a project and somebody's like, actually, I need you to change it. Like that frustrates me.
For sure.
And it's like, I know that's part of work, but like being done with something or almost done with something, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and then the tunnel gets where you don't even see the end anymore.
Yes.
It's like we're back in that situation, and it's funny, or it's frustrating. So I've been thinking a lot about this, like, God, like, how much longer is this going to be?
Mm-hmm.
How much longer am I not going to be able to do events? For two reasons. One, I love doing them. I think it's it's one of the three skills that I have in my life.
And you were just so recently reminded of how awesome it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love doing them, and they are starting to come back, but it's like, how much longer is it going to just be weird?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, secondarily, it's like, how much longer am I going to, like, we're barely paying our bills.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're able to, but, like, I lost half my salary last year. Like, it's been like financially tough. It's like, how much longer is that going to go on? Because it's like, I have the skills to do it. I just don't have the opportunity. Right. How much longer is my spiritual life going to feel like it's also kind of hanging on by a thread? How much longer are we going to have to endure this? Right. And like, I was literally sitting there thinking about it, kind of praying about it when I was at camp, because, finally in a situation where I had some time away and more free time, because I wasn't, editing podcasts 24/7, that sort of thing. But I got to thinking about it, and it's just like, oh man, like, how much has God endured from me, right? And it doesn't change, or it doesn't negate the frustrations that I've been feeling. They're not gone, and it doesn't invalidate them, but it's a perspective shift for me, where it's like, I've endured all this crap. Everybody's endured this crap for the last year and a half at least. Maybe even longer, with all the scandals and all that kind of stuff. It's like God has endured so much from me. Like, even in the last year.
Yeah.
It's like, I have excuses for my spiritual life to not be as good or to be frustrated.
Right.
But that doesn't mean it needed to be as bad as it was. That was a choice multiple choices that I made.
Yeah.
Right. What do you think?
Well, as you were talking, I was thinking about that we're waiting. And so no one chooses to wait. I mean, waiting's terrible, right? But we're hoping for something that's still out in front of us. And so we've all been, it's such a familiar place. We've all been in that position of some in between, right? And so the problem is just that the in between has lasted so long.
Right.
And so
we don't know when it's going to end.
Right. But if you think about like this period in the desert, the idea is to always be like Jesus in the desert instead of the Israelites in the desert. They were terrible. They're moaning. They're complaining. They're giving up. They
didn't have magical powers like Jesus, okay?
But Jesus is like resisting temptation left and right. And so it's so nice to have both, and to be able to, reflect on how to wait well. So what does waiting well look like? I mean, I don't know. I'm not doing it very well, but I laugh all the time at these, how much longer must I endure you people moments. I mean, direct quote from Jesus. It's so great, where you can like picture the facepalm of how much longer must I endure you, and we think about, I think he had just like multiplied some fish and loaves, and they're on the boat, and all the disciples are grumbling because there's only 7 loaves, right? And so he's sitting in the back of the boat listening to them argue about how they're going to split up these 7 loaves. He has just multiplied for thousands of people. And it's this, how much longer must I endure you people moment? You really think I can't do it again? And so the problem is just, but what about the now waiting for you to do it again? We know you can do it, but how do I wait well? And I think that there are some really good little pointers that's probably really individual for every person. But for me, I need a group of close friends that I can tell the whole truth to, I just need good community. I need to be writing. I need to be creating in order to stay a little sane. I need to, so it's like, if you have, I heard this from a nun once, but she was talking about putting sugar at the bottom of your cup and then pouring coffee into it. And then you have to stir it, right? Like
I always do liquid first and then the sugar.
Oh, really?
Always. Sorry, sister.
Well, you have to melt it. You have to stir your affections, but like doing things that stir your affection for the Lord. So for me, it's being outside. It's moving my body. It's working out, and so having like this little list that, like I said, is going to be individual. It's different for everybody, but these are the things that help me wait well.
Yeah. And it's so funny that you brought up the scripture. Like that's how I can tell that you're a former Protestant, because you know scripture. Like nobody else knows that that's a scripture reference. I mean, I would imagine that
Jesus actually said that.
Of the people listening to this, like 4 were like, yeah, that's the Bible. And like I was going to play it off as my insight and then reveal that that's actually scripture from Jesus.
Yeah.
But you're a good Protestant or former Protestant. So I'm proud of you. But like the irony of we're talking about irony a bunch. I guess I need to. Iron,
Yes,
like, we're talking about irony a lot this week. The irony is I've ironed 3 times in my life.
who does that anymore?
Yeah, but
I've been living in sweats for 2 years.
right, exactly. Just ironing my boxers for no reason. So, you're right. Like, not only did you know that it was Jesus, you knew exactly where it was. He had just multiplied all the loaves, and then they bring him someone to heal right after this, right? And like, so you quoted it almost verbatim. Jesus said in reply to them, like they're like, "Hey, can you heal this person?" And like they say, the apostles say, "We couldn't heal him," and Jesus says, "It's because your lack of faith that you couldn't heal him." And then he says the line, "Oh, faithless and perverse generation, how long will I be with you? How long will I endure you?" This was the daily mass reading like 3 days after I was thinking about this at camp.
Wow.
It was a daily mass reading at camp. And here's like you said, everybody has their like individual kicker. Well, I have a radio show or podcast, so I'm trying to make it for more than just me. But maybe this will work for somebody out there, I hope. But here's the thing. We kind of, this has been kind of a theme popping up on the show the last few months. And like completely unplanned, because it's like this was just something I was thinking to pray about, and then God was like, here's your answer, bud. He says these things that seem pretty harsh.
Yeah.
Like faithless and perverse generation.
Isn't it great?
Like, what if I just walked up to you like, Allison, you're faithless and perverse?
Yeah.
You're like, oh,
yeah,
that sucks. You know?
Yeah.
How long do I have to? How much longer are you gonna be here, Allison? Like, this is my house. Like, how much longer? How long do I have to endure you? And then it ends with, "Bring him here to me."
Yeah.
And he heals the guy, and the guy walks away. So it's this thing where I think that I've only been hearing like or projecting onto God half of the conversation. Like God saying to me, like, "Taylor, how long is your prayer life gonna suck? Like, you know better. How much longer are you gonna keep doing that sin? How much longer are you gonna keep not having enough faith to move mountains that we talked about 3 months ago on the show?" But what does Jesus do in the middle of that? He's like, "You couldn't do it, but I can."
Yes.
Right? He's like, I'm gonna do the ministry for you that you couldn't do. But I'm also going to like prove to you that like I still care even when you suck.
Yeah.
Which is what I needed.
Yes, it's so good. And if God is taking a long time to heal, then there must be something to gain from the hurt. Like we've said that before too, I think. But it's like there must be something to gain there during this time, even if it's just desperation. I feel like desperation is so often what showcases his work. It's like, "Oh, I'm really needy. I've got nothing. Watch this." There he goes,
My doorbell just rang. I haven't heard the doorbell in years. And
who doesn't text and say, "I'm here" anymore?
I wonder if it's my wife and kids. Like, "Hey, can you let us in?" No, it's not. She hadn't texted me. But anyway, that's going to signal the end of our show. We're going to pretend like that was the bell of our producer. That's definitely not me. I do everything around here except for look pretty. That's Allison's job. That's Allison. I'm Taylor. I'll be back next week. See ya. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening to today's episode. We hope that you enjoyed it. Allison and I sure did. If you want to stay connected with us throughout the week, you can do so at Forte Catholic on Twitter, at Forte Catholic on YouTube, or at Taylor Schroll on Twitter, Instagram. Those are the main places there. There's also a TikTok that we're doing. We're having fun over there too. So you guys rock. Thanks so much for enjoying today's episode. I'll be back next week. Bye.